Okay, hi Aaron. This is just some preliminary feedback before you finish the film project, just to essentially give you some things to improve upon before you finish this web page completely and get your final feedback. Okay, so obviously you relay anything you get hit from here as feedback for the final project moving forward as well, so that you can essentially make the best project possible because you're graded on that final project. So bear that in mind. But this focus is on this page, how it looks. Okay. So obviously you started the course late, and you have had some difficulties with health, and that you're currently undergoing at this point in time. So I'm just more than happy to make that clear that I am aware of that. But what eventually has to happen is that all of the work is ended up doing anyway. Okay, so I need to make sure that you can do this to the best of your ability. Okay, so with that in mind, I just want to say that in the time that I had you, this, from what I see, this isn't necessarily the best work that I could get from you. Okay, so I'll explain why. Okay, so you were able to take part in two projects, two small projects to work as part of fodder for a journal entry, each one. And then you were meant to look at some contextual research work as well. And each time you do something, you make a journal entry based on it. Let's have a look at the task one and see what you were meant to do. Create a video journal throughout the project. So specifically, you'll be required to record audio and video footage and upload it to your website as a continuous journal kept throughout the assignment. Okay? At this stage, this isn't great. All right? This isn't a lot of work that you've been able to produce. Let's look at see what this covers. 1.1 and 1.2. This covers learning outcomes to both units. So that is Unit 5 and Unit 6, exploring visual production technology and exploring audio production technology. Okay? 1.1, use a range of skills to inform and develop ideas for creative production. 1.2, assess the effectiveness of technology skills involving visual or audio production. Okay? Also, use contextual awareness to support the development of ideas for audio and visual production. Okay? These are what you're potentially covering with those journals. Okay? So you've been given screenings, films to look at, and screen and essentially comment on, to look at audio and visual production techniques. You've also had to produce a script, proposal, storyboard, production schedule as well at this stage, and also to comment on those as part of your journals. Okay? Have you been able to do that? Perhaps, but you haven't put it onto your website. Okay? So what do we have? We have one journal entry that talks about a Naruto anime. And we've got one journal entry
action, and we did our own stuff. Well, I did my
that covers this one, okay? But you are specifically looking at audio and visual techniques, okay? Now,
we shot some action, and from that point onwards, we were like, hey, why don't we just do action? You know, just to keep the viewer interested in what we're trying to make. So our line was don't put that in there, and I think I just kind of again went with what's on the top of my head. I had a comb.
Cool, you combed your hair, awesome.
And I put on a voice to see.
Yeah, brilliant. Audio and visual techniques, remember?
Killing comb. Because Kaelin was already over by the lockers.
You're talking about story. You're not talking about the audio and visual techniques
as
used.
I defended the locker.
Yeah, just talk about story.
Kind of shot.
Oh, a shot. You mentioned the video technique.
Nice perspective over the shoulder.
Oh yeah, let's go back.
Shooting the we shot the fight scene from two different angles, his perspective and my perspective over the shoulder, kind of shot.
Let's pause there. We shot it from two different angles, his perspective and my perspective, over the shoulder shots. That is you talking about video techniques, okay? From what I can tell, the rest of it is not, okay? Let's look at this one. Now, obviously, story is great. Story, you need to talk about story. But you talk about story in relation to audio and video techniques, because you are currently covering the units exploring audio production technology and exploring video production and technology. These are the ones that you're looking at. Technology and production, these are the words, okay?
Put herself out there to Naruto or to people that she has a thing for Naruto.
Cool, you're talking about the story. Let's go back.
Which he thought was wrong and he got beaten up.
Cool. At what point in time do you look at, say, like shot types, the use of creative movement and things like that, animation techniques? Because this is an animation film that you're looking at.
Love interest, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I can't get anything from that as far as I'm aware, okay? So just bear that in mind, all right? Also, you created a journal with Joe for this film, but why isn't it on your website, okay? All right then. Do you think this is good? Do you think this is... Anyway, okay, so there is an awful lot to do. You also need to get your pre-production paperwork on here as well for your film, okay? And you need to make continuous journal entries. So you'll be given the footage for the film when you are back after 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. You'll be given the footage and you'll be able to make an edit based on that. And you can then have a chance to add more journal entries. At this stage, it's not looking that great. There's not a lot of work to produce. That you've produced, okay? So there's lots for you to do when you come back. Just bear in mind what the purpose is of producing journals. It's to cover specific learning outcomes. Think to yourself, what are the learning outcomes I need to cover? And think to yourself, have you or are you covering those learning outcomes with the actions you're doing, okay?